Hey there, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of Hollow Weekly. Nick and George here with a festive episode. We're in the holiday season.
Yep.
This week we're going to be talking about horror icons. Well, not really icons. There's some
Whatever.
icons in there.
Any figures from horror.
Any figure from horror that we would love to see in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day
Yeah,
Parade.
we're gonna horror up the Macy's Day Parade.
We thought put a little more, put some pizzazz of horror in there.
Yeah, let's make it actually fun instead of like
No one wants
Peanuts
to see
characters.
No one wants to see your local high school marching band who made it to the Macy's Day. That was always a big deal. Someone always in the state always went. They made a big deal about it. Also, we have another segment for How Low Can We Go with 1981's Ghost Story, and then another segment of On Our Radar. And if you're listening to this episode and you think to yourself, boy, do I love this podcast and I want to help support them in any way, shape, or form, head on over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/hollowweekly, where we just kicked off what I can say is scientifically accurate, the best game in the world, a choose your own adventure, roll for your own adventure, interactive horror game, where 3 days each week, we have very talented, wonderful writers who come up with a story, and then you join our Slack channel in the respective tier that you're in, and then you roll to see which path you're going to go down in this story. So this week we have Camp Hollow Weekly. We just did week one, day one. And for all of our $1 tiers where we do the group roll, the $1 tiers being the flirts, they've made it. They've all survived.
Congratulations.
There's been no death.
I expected way more death in this.
I thought they were going to die.
But it's coming.
I hit roll, and I was like, because this is the first one, and I was nervous. I was like, Alex, hit roll. And then she hit roll, and they lived. I was like, oh, thank God. Thank God. So head on over to Patreon. Check out our kick-ass tiers we got over there. We also have, in some of the higher tiers, Google Hangouts, a chance for you to ask killer questions, all sorts of good stuff.
Movies for us to review, all kinds of fun stuff.
All the cool stuff. All right, so head on over there to patreon.com/hollowweekly. And now for the show. On our radar. So quite a few things have been going on this this Thanksgiving week. Thanksgiving is upon us this Thursday. I'm very excited. One thing on my radar is passing out from Turkey and watching horror films. Actually, watching horror films and passing out from Turkey.
That's not on your radar. That's on your calendar.
That's on my calendar, and it wouldn't make sense to pass out then watch a film because then I can't watch the film.
All right. So the first thing I'm tracking is I'm just excited. This is personal to me, so feel free to hit the skip ahead 2 minutes because it's mainly about me. Because this has never happened to me before, so I was super excited to happen. You know how you see like these articles that go by on Facebook or wherever, and they're like top 10 things you should watch on Netflix right now, or top movies coming to Netflix next month or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Nothing ever happens. Like I read the list, I'm like, wait, I saw all those, or
yeah, it's all
I know
same
it.
old,
I've seen that, or like I saw that in theater, or like whatever. And then it's like top 10, home invasion films on Netflix, and then it's the Strangers and Funny Games.
Hush.
Right, exactly. And I'm like, why did I even click this? Like, I mean, I got enticed, but so there was this thing came out, and it goes, here's the horror movie that you need to watch on Netflix right now if you're a dog lover. I was like, huh? wait a minute. So then I clicked it expecting like some crap, and it was really interesting. I'm like, oh my God, someone finally gave me a movie suggestion that I'm going to enjoy. And so I watched it, and it's amazing. So I was super happy. So it's a movie called White God. Okay. And what's really cool about this movie is it's basically Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, but with dogs mixed with Spartacus. So Gladiator.
Yeah.
Okay. So like there's this dog and you follow him and he gets abused. Now I'm a dog lover and I don't even like in horror movies when dogs get killed. Yeah. So I had to not watch some parts of this movie because they're really brutal. There's like dog fighting rings and animal shelters. And It's a Hungarian film. It's beautifully shot.
Is that the movie where they had the scene of like 100 dogs running down the street?
Yes.
I remember seeing some shit about that.
Totally. And I think I vaguely knew this existed, but it didn't. I never got no one ever gave it a recommendation. And the first time I heard about it, it wasn't really pitched as a horror movie.
Yeah, I thought it was like a drama or something.
Yeah, it sounded like some
that,
kind of like student film, right? So I just forgot all about it. But then some, GQ came along and gave this thoughtful article about it. And I was like, I'm going to give them props because they gave me a suggestion. The first time in the history of anyone on the internet giving me a Netflix suggestion that I wouldn't have heard about otherwise, and I enjoyed. But here's the really cool thing. So this dog goes through like hell, like whatever, and you're totally rooting for him, right? It's like a reverse Cujo. And then what happens is he ends up leading a dog revolution. And it's so cool. Yeah, they're like dope. Running around like organized like an army, outsmarting humans, and it's like so cool. So the original owner of the dog, where the dog got taken away from his beloved owner, he confronts the dog towards the end of the movie. I'm going to try not to spoil all of it, but it's just because it's so amazing. And the owner sees the dog and they walk towards each other in a street like a Western.
Yeah.
And they stand really close to each other. And the dog looks at him and the owner looks at the dog. And then you look behind the dog and there are like 1,000 other dogs lined up directly behind him that you didn't see at first in the shadows. And they're just poised to strike.
Oy.
And the owner goes, I love you. And the dog just looks. It's such a great moment. It's so cool. It's so worth going through all the other hell of like what's happening in the movie. But it's just the fact that I'm Netflix subscriber for 3 years and I finally got a recommendation.
Okay, the first because it's usually the same shit.
Yeah, so exactly. So on my radar is out of nowhere GQ. I don't even usually notice comes up with a good rec. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a very. I wouldn't expect GQ to have a.
I wouldn't have either.
Thing. So you get some fashion advice and totally. Some horror stuff. That's awesome.
Well, the owner of the dog basically wears a Mark Zuckerberg's hoodie through the whole movie, so I don't know what GQ is doing. Whatever.
They probably were trying to give him advice, probably. Probably look better in the movie. So the one thing I have on mine on the radar, actually, I was going to talk about AMC theaters trying to dick nose Movie Pass, but because there's a lot of like movies coming out next year that I like to see, but that's dumb. Fuck you, AMC. That's stupid. Get over it. I only have two things. The first one I got from I read from Bloody Disgusting that The Walking Dead hit 6-year ratings low as the Negan storyline continues to lose viewers.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that's what we.
I don't know what they're thinking. I don't know.
That's what we've been saying all along. Is like this show is like do something else. Like fucking Vince Gilligan that shit. Be like, listen. I mean, it's too late now. They went over like Breaking Bad like what 5 seasons. But just wrap it up. Get the show over with. Like,
wrap it up, or honestly, be brave and diverge from the source material, sort of like Game of Thrones ish did. Right?
Yeah,
like they're following sort of the source material, but. I mean, you don't have to. The war is if it's sinking your show, then like
it needs to go
make a change.
And that's the thing is like we run a horror community and podcast. Like The Walking Dead at one point in time used to have like that hour of my life every Sunday. Like it used to be an event, but now I'm just seeing the news about how people are frustrated with the show and don't care about it. And it's like it's sort of like sad to see it because like I don't like to just shit on things to shit on them. Because I like to have more great content to watch. Like that's who doesn't. So
we're pulling for every show.
It just sucks to see like a show that started so fucking strong.
Yep.
Like I don't know. It's sort of like Dexter almost.
Yeah.
Like just wrap it up. Like if you're not.
Meanwhile, so let me inject another level of frustration here. Meanwhile, The Exorcist on Fox will probably be canceled, and it's an excellent show. And taking a risk and do whatever, and Walking Dead's going to be out for 12 more seasons.
Really,
like it's just really frustrating.
And we have an Ash got pushed or something like that. Yeah. Like we have to wait longer for that.
Yep. I'm totally with you.
So that's the sad news I had. And then the other thing on my radar, which isn't getting a lot of, I haven't seen a lot of people post about it in the group. There's been a few. Is My Friend Dahmer. It's in theaters now. I don't know how long it's been in theaters. I think it's been there for
a week. I think it's not long.
Yeah, it has been very long, but
2 weeks at the most.
We went and saw it, and it's everyone knows the spoilers. Everyone knows what happens to Jeffrey Dahmer. There's no spoiler. But
that nice young man better not have done anything bad.
That nice little weirdo. I just wanted to give that movie give it a shout out because it's a basic. I know people hate origin stories, but it's kind of a serial killer origin story. It's a serial killer movie without any killings, but it's a really fascinating thing. And we talked about it.
That's a great title too.
It's really good. It's based off the graphic novel, but it's actually like kind of heartbreaking in a way, just to see like how this kid was raised that led him to the path that he ended up going down. But it's just a really good insight into the into serial killers, especially now with stuff like Mindhunters out there, where the psyche of a serial killer is like the coolest fucking thing to talk about. I mean, it always has been, but we're now getting good productions behind it, so it makes it a little bit easier.
I'm excited to see it. I haven't seen it yet.
It is fantastic. I forget the kid who plays Dahmer was like a Disney star, and he's really fucking good.
That's a weird transition.
Yeah, well,
good for him.
Fitting, sort of, I guess. It's either you go
I have a feeling he's not the only Disney star who's a serial killer.
Well, it always weirds me out when there's certain actors when they play killers. It always weirds me out. Like who's the Frodo guy? Oh, Elijah Wood.
Yes, like that's exactly who I was going to say.
Whenever I see him, like he did what, Maniac.
Yep.
I'm always like
Maniac remake, and he was the crazy like whatever in Sin City.
Yeah, that always weirds me out because they look like they have like a sweet face, and then they play like killers, and it always throws me off. It's cool, but it always throws me off. You got anything else on the radar?
I don't.
All right, so let's jump right into it. So this is a topic we wanted to do. Thanksgiving. I was trying to look up like Thanksgiving horror. What can we do? And of course, there's only a handful of Thanksgiving horror films.
Not a lot.
Thanksgiving. I think that was
They're fun, but they're not great.
I think that was the.
And we know we're going to be doing a lot of lists, so we wanted to at least change it up and have something not listicle for a while because we're gonna have to deal with lists eventually. So
list, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to avoid listing, especially with the weird sort of topics we come up with. So we came up with. And this is in no particular order. I'm trying to.
Mine's definitely in order.
Yours is in an order. I was trying to go away from the whole. Like this is definitely not a list. This is just random words.
I screwed it all
Okay, you know what? We'll split the diff. We have one list, one non-list list of horror characters we would love to see in the Macy's Day Thanksgiving Parade as floats. I have floats. But it's also one of them's not really a float. It's more of like a, what do you call like is it still technically a float if it's like one of those like, you know, like they'll have like gingerbread houses like drive by.
Yeah,
is that a float? That's considered a float.
Float, I think, right? Like
we'll
what
consider
the hell would it be?
For this we will consider it a float.
If it's in the fucking street during the Macy's parade, it's a float. It's either a float or a band.
Yeah,
it's one of those two.
Did you ever watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade?
I avoided it like the plague. I saw a few snippets of it. I actually think it's a really fun idea. Here's the weirdest thing. I usually watch football or do other things on like Thanksgiving that don't involve watching the Macy's Day Parade, but I saw a behind the scenes like mini doc about how they do the floats and the tradition behind them and how they build them, like whatever.
Yeah.
And it was super fascinating. It's weird to see a doc of something you're not interested in and be a fan of the idea, but you're still not watching it. Like, I don't know what it is. But from the doc, I was like, you know what? I'm totally sold. I think this is a really fun idea.
Well,
because they put a shit ton of work in it.
I've always liked it. Like, I always like, because it was just like, it was a traditional thing. So it was like whenever Thanksgiving, you know, you wake up Thanksgiving morning, you pop it on and all that other shit. So we got to spice up the Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Yes.
And for the good people at Macy's,
yes,
pay very close attention.
Yes.
We have some very good ideas. These aren't just floats.
Totally.
We're
gonna revamp your whole.
Yeah, we're gonna revamp the whole thing. Even if they just did one of these things.
Yeah.
I think your viewership would be through the roof, Macy's.
Agreed.
All right, so here we go. I'll kick off the list. We might have some overlap. We haven't looked at each other's list.
We don't know what we're gonna say, so yeah.
I said we haven't looked at each other's list. These aren't lists because we're veering off from lists. We haven't looked at each other's items categorized in columns. So
the narrative says George's is a list. Okay.
Okay. So number one.
Yes.
A xenomorph.
Oh yeah. The design of that would be.
It would be cute. So the head would be huge. The head would be huge.
That's true.
And the body would be a lot smaller. So it would almost look like a cute little. Imagine if you drew the actual alien, but made it like. Sort of like a Babality in Mortal Kombat, where you just shrink it down and make it look adorable.
Sure.
That would be the thing. So the head's huge, body's a little tiny, so everyone's like, oh, that's cute. Meanwhile, every now and then, he'd open up his mouth and shoot out one of those little fucking like
like his jaw.
Yeah.
Jaw stab.
Yeah. One of those would come out, and just it would be a fun little visual
That's
gag.
a question I have for you since I haven't watched the parade. Do the floats move or do they just kind of like go down the street?
The floats, like the ones that like are actually
Can they do what you're saying? Do they do the job?
No, we're gonna Imagineer.
I think they might. Like it's 2017, right? They must move.
Well, I got to be honest. I like the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade, but being in LA, like we have to watch like the rerun, so it's never like it's always just on. Right. It's not like an important thing. Right. So I don't know the current state of float technology. I'm gonna
say they move.
I will. Okay, for this, we'll say they move. If they haven't, we're very it. Yeah, and we're close to fucking like the Disney campus. We're like, hey guys, can you make it?
Yeah, and Macy's listening right now, clearly. So
yeah, they've
got to be like, oh, we should have mobile floats. We just gave them the idea.
I mean, all you got to do is
free.
All you got to do, yeah, exactly. So, so the alien, he opens up his jaw, shoots out the little, little tongue fucker guy, and now I also put into the list. They always have the people holding on to this, holding on to like the little ropes, making sure the floats don't fly away. For those, this is where it gets interesting. Those people will be the Space Marines with the radars, and they're constantly beeping because there's an alien above them. And
cool.
One of them has a chest burster strapped like a chest bursting squib.
I was hoping that'd be in there
onto his thing. So they're just walking in, doing their thing, like, oh, there's an alien nearby, and then I don't know. All of these have some sort of gag in them.
Perfect.
All of a sudden, chest burster comes out, sprays blood on the crowd who's watching. Probably the people who got like the prime.
Happy Thanksgiving, kids.
Yeah, exactly. Probably on like the prime view. Yeah,
totally.
They would have to spray it on tons of families and their kids. But that's part of the fun. Okay,
I agree.
So I'm gonna. That's how I don't. You know what? I didn't order which list these guys would go in because that's always a big thing too.
Right.
But I could just imagine like I don't know who is it, like Al Roker. Or, I don't know, some shitty, like, local news person would be like, all right, now here comes H.R. Geiger's alien xenomorph. That's right, Jill, here he comes. Word has it that there's a chest burster in one of these Space Marines. Who's it going to be?
You spoiled it. Al Roker, you suck.
Well, no, he builds tension. It's that whole Hitchcock thing. There's a bomb under the table. Kind of deal.
I'm comfortable saying this. No podcast in the history of the world has compared Al Roker to Hitchcock. This is a first.
Well, I didn't compare him to Hitchcock. He's certainly in the boat, the lifeboat, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
all right, I love it. I would pay anything to hear Al Roker or Ryan Seacrest or some lame old.
Oh my God, Ryan Seacrest!
Like,
there's the alien. He's so scary. Ridley Scott's a visual master.
It's the H.R. Geiger part that maybe like just hearing that name coming out of their mouths would be amazing.
Here comes his his erotic alien art for all the kids. For all the moms and
little known fact, there's a phallic design behind
Here comes the giant floating penis down New York through New York.
I like this parade already. This is going in a good direction. All right, so mine's being definitely a list. I'm gonna go with number 5. I'm gonna make this the number 5. This is one of my favorite ideas on my list, but I'm gonna put it to number 5 because it's the least viable. And Macy's is clearly going to stop listening to this podcast as soon as
they heard that last part and
right.
they told their assistant like get the fucking
they went to
pen
production.
and paper.
Yep, exactly.
You let me let's get this in production.
I want a big float replica of the remaining surviving characters in the mist in their vehicle. I want there to be a bunch of mist coming down the street before this thing shows up, right? And then
that's cool.
And then I want all those guys in the mist vehicle. He's sitting in the vehicle. I want the one guy with the gun. And he's loading the bullets, and they're just all looking at each other. And I just want this going down the street. And the reason that I want this is I want all the people on the avenue, the street, and all the people watching TV, like whatever, to be like, "What's that?" And then I want people to have to explain to them
what's about to happen.
What that is. And I think floats should be interactive with the audience, right? So like my float, when it comes down the street, if I was in the street, where's the Macy Days? New York, right?
Yep.
If I was in New York, it's street side for the Macy Days parade, and that thing, there was some mist and some drama, and that thing came looming out of the mist, and it was them, I would literally just be screaming my head off, "Don't do it! Don't do it!" Right? There's just gonna be in mass a wave of people just giving an inanimate float object advice. And I want that to. I want to see that happen. Right. My alternate. I'm going to cheat here and be like the one that I kicked out of this that I would almost equally want to see, but it's the same concept. Was I would have flooded the street with fog, and then I would have those damn pirates from John Carpenter's The Fog just show up like in a march, like individual floats, like a phalanx of pirates. But I like the mist one better just because I want the explanation thing to happen during Thanksgiving. I want people like, they're cooking and they're distracted, they're under a lot of pressure, they're trying to get the meal done, they're fighting with their in-laws, and then all of a sudden this thing shows up and down the street. And also you have the alternate option of once that float go by, because all the floats go in one direction, right?
Yeah.
Like
just
yeah. But I
right
want like the tank to come down the street in the other direction, right? Like the tank he sees after they all kill themselves. Spoiler.
Sometimes they have like the floats with like a little story going on there, and like the announcers act like, oh no, what are they going to do here? And I would like for one of them to know and the other not know. So like, totally.
How would Al Roker do the mist float?
He's like, oh no, ladies and gentlemen, there are 6 of them and only 5 bullets. How is this going to play out? There goes the son. There goes the older gentleman. There goes the young lady. We're left. All we have now is Thomas Jane losing it. Oh, and here comes the military.
If I was
Happy Thanksgiving.
If I was a billionaire, I would just make this happen. This is my okay. Anyway,
you know what? We'll do a GoFundMe for the. It'll probably cost a lot of money.
Yeah,
but we'll make it happen. So the mist, I like that. Okay, so this next one isn't. I guess we decided it's technically called a float, but it's not going to be the kind that's up in the air. It's going to be the kind
rolling
on wheels where they roll it and it's like a big set piece. So this one is going to be the Universal Monsters. It's going to be a giant scary castle, and you're going to have Frank, Drag, Wolfman, Bride, Creature. Even going to throw in Lon Chaney's Phantom.
Tom Cruise's Mummy.
You're
going to throw him off the float.
under the float. Right. Under the float. And this one, so every Macy's Day always has like a handful of musical acts.
Yes.
This is it. This is the musical act.
Oh, they're going to rock.
Unfortunately, the only song I think they'll be able to get rights to is that really shitty Beetlejuice Universal live show.
Probably.
So they're going to have to go with that. I'm not happy about it. I couldn't think of anything else. Right. I can't do anything cliche like the Monster Mash. October's over. We're into Thanksgiving. Totally. I can't think of like a Thanksgiving Day.
No, there's no such thing.
There's no like Thanksgiving Day song.
Nope.
Or anything like that. Sometimes they do Christmas music. You know what? Jingle Bell Rock. I've just decided. So we're going to have Drac, Frank, Bride, Creature, Wolfman, Invisible Man, and Phantom sing Jingle Bell Rock. And it'll be a fun little tune, little vaudeville style. Lots of dancing, and Frank will tap dance in his boots. It'll be a real laugh. It'll be a real roriot.
Yes.
And
putting on the Ritz.
Yeah, they'll do putting on the
sure.
If the tracking doesn't work, they'll do putting on the Ritz. There's always that one fucking act that does a musical thing. Like it's all, they don't actually perform it live because it's a parade and they're just trying to do it. Right. But like who was it? Like it was like Arcade. Who the fuck was it? I can't think of who it was. But one of like their musical instruments like completely like fell off the Strat and the music kept playing and they were just like fuck it. So I figured if they don't have any instruments and they're just singing, it might work out.
Love it.
But we'll get the gang in there. They have to make some kind of appearance into this. I almost thought about. I didn't tell you this. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to say. I'm going to say this for last because I don't think you know.
Don't spoil the surprise.
I'm not going to spoil the surprise. There is a cool surprise. So the Universal Monster cast is going to do a little musical bit for the parade.
Beautiful. I love it.
Song pending.
Yeah. So my number 4 is I'm not. I don't have a lot to say about this because it just is a natural, and I don't. Like there's not a lot of details behind it, but it's the Freddy Krueger arm stretch, right? So in the first movie,
cool.
When he's got the arm out and they're scraping along the sides of the walls, but they're impossibly stretched. I just want him doing that down a row of buildings, like for the whole parade. I just want.
Now, is it still made out of the float material, or are we destroying a lot of property?
No, it's the float material, but they could tip the float blades with something that makes like a horrible sound, just to like,
or like flint or something like that,
people.
just
Yeah.
to spark.
Yeah, for sure. Whatever. Any of those things. Like,
Because I think
like sparking down a whole bunch of buildings with a whole bunch of flammable material in the road. I mean, what could
and people underneath.
Yeah, it's fine.
I think there was what was it growing up? Like the Barney float, something fucked up with that and like killed someone. Yeah, it was always the Barney float. It was always the Barney float that I remember hearing about, being like, didn't that fucking kill someone? So technically right now, Barney's a stone cold killer. Our Freddy Krueger float hasn't
killed anyone.
Hasn't maimed anyone. So, like exactly. we're completely fine.
But you know, the story behind the sweater, because Wes Craven was a genius, was that he had read an article that the two colors that are incorporated in the sweater are the ones that make people most visually uncomfortable, right? Mm-hmm. So I just love the idea of this thing going down with the horrible sound while everyone's trying to enjoy themselves with that sweater, like fucking with everyone's eyes.
I would love to have that sound over the announcers. So like they're just kind of muffled like this. You can't really hear them that well. You hear, they're trying to talk.
Yeah, how would Al Roker do this one? He'd be talking over like...
He would be screaming. He would be like... Al Roker would, I don't know, he would just be talking, going, you know, this sounds unsettling, and this is coming from, you know, America's most unsettling man. He freaks Alex out. Like, there's just a look to him. Like you've been in the game way too long, Al.
I love the Al Roker hate in this episode. Yeah, so...
No, there's no Al Roker hate. There's unsettling Al Roker.
Okay, just Al Roker. Respect.
No, who's the guy who shaved his head? Matt Lauer?
Matt Lauer.
That guy freaks me the fuck out. Like he is like the American Psycho.
That guy.
He is the American Psycho. All right, so speaking of creepy things, let's go on to the next float here. And this was a big year.
Nick's number 3 for those keeping track.
This is just the next one on a piece of paper that's not listed in any way, shape, or form.
All right, fair enough.
Pennywise the Clown.
Of course.
He has to make an appearance.
Yes.
And you know what I think I'd do? Tim Curry's Pennywise. Ass to ass with Skarsgård Pennywise.
Okay.
Because I like both.
Sure.
I don't have a preference.
It's fine.
I like both. So you get a little bit of best of both worlds.
Absolutely.
Now, the people holding... This is an actual float.
Mm-hmm.
The people holding this one would be people of able strength with
naturally
yellow raincoats.
Of course.
One of them missing an arm. Because I can't have all of them missing their arms because they have to make sure the float doesn't go away. But one for theatrical effect.
I'm trying to see like the Craigslist or hiring ad for this. Like strongest one-armed people who apply. We need 10 really strong one-armed individuals. Yes.
Well, no, we only need one-armed person.
Okay.
And that's the guy. Well, you know, it doesn't. We can even cheat it. You know, you can always sort of put your arm and your wrist there. So you know, if the pickings are slim for
I mean,
rope
if he's the one in the front, like he gets the honor, they could just pull his arm off.
Well, so here's the gag though. Tons of blood in here, and we just spray it out on everyone, and everyone in unison. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Let's say we got one guy in the front, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because it's a big float. We have 8 people. They're all just screaming, "You'll float too." Actually, you know what? Not even in unison. They are all just yelling it, so you can't exactly. Yeah, you can't really make out what they're hearing. It's very unsettling.
I love it, but I've got an alternate for you. Because I love your idea. But check this out. Let's say when the regular parade is going by, so Mickey Mouse just went by, right? Or he's about to. He's just going by right now. Right?
Or Pikachu.
Or
that was a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. Your Pennywise float emerges from an actual sewer. Like they just inflate it, quick inflate, and it just like rises.
Ooh,
right?
I'm gonna piggyback off that.
Okay.
I'm gonna change it though. Very slow.
just taking the attention from all the other.
Yeah. I just want everyone to be really unsettled for like 45, 50 minutes. While they're like, something's coming out of the sewer. Is that the Hollow Weekly Pennywise? I don't know. We'll check back on that here in a little bit. Thanks, Jim.
I love it.
And then they're like, okay, well, there's Pikachu. There we go. All right, still coming out of the sewer.
Totally.
We'll come back.
Totally.
And then eventually he comes out, and it makes that like, I don't know, cartoonish noise, like, poof, like, thump. Mm-hmm. He comes out, and then he's floating. But then the people have to be in the sewer with it because they're holding on to the rope.
Sure.
So we have
to just let it go.
No, because it has to go down the parade. So now the Craigslist ad is going to read: able bodies who can hold a strong float must be able to fit through the sewer. and keep up with it.
Yes.
Because if you're the last guy, it's probably the easiest because it's already going down, and you could almost just zoom right out of the sewer.
Right.
I like this idea better. I need to brainstorm this a little bit. Actually, you know what? I think the people at Macy's are going to pick up that idea. They'll pick that idea up and figure it out. Okay, so that was my
There's
not
nothing
number.
they liked more than besides spraying the audience with blood. There's nothing they enjoy more than the physical
there's a
risk
lot
of
of
danger because that just makes it like so cheap in
It's
terms
theatrical.
of insurance and exactly.
If we replace the word danger with it's theatrical, I think their legal department has an easier time.
You'll edit that part, right? I don't want them to hear the danger part.
No.
I don't want to sink our chances of them doing this. All right, so watch me cheat here. Watch me get 4 in 1. You ready? So I was going to do
4 in 1.
I could not decide. I'm gonna do a female horror icon float, right? I knew I had to have one in there, and the first thing that came to mind was Bride of Frankenstein. I think she's one of my favorite characters.
Well, I've already got you.
Horror. Yeah. Oh, okay.
We got the Universal Monster.
Yeah, exactly right. But I will.
Well, if Macy's passes on that idea, then
Yeah,
your idea will.
But it's not my idea because I'm not doing it. So because I'm cheating right now, I'm going to name a bunch, right? So Bride of Frankenstein I threw out, even though I wanted to because it's one of my favorite characters, but I was like, no. Then I really wanted to do a float of Drew Barrymore on the phone and scream.
Uh-huh.
I just thought the idea of that coming down the street would just I would just.
Would there be someone
chills.
with like a propane gas like? With popcorn on top of it, just burning the shit out of it. So like the wretched.
I didn't think of that,
smell
but that's a
burnt
great
popcorn
idea.
Just
if that was my choice, that would happen, but it's not my choice. So then
these are such good ideas,
right? And then I wanted to do Jennifer Check from Jennifer's Body with the lighter on her tongue thing because I just thought Jennifer's Body doesn't get enough attention. It's an underrated masterpiece, and fuck you. More people should know about it. This is a promotional opportunity at the Macy's Day Parade, after all, right?
Yeah.
But I skipped all that. I was like, all right, my number 3, my float is going to be Wednesday Addams in her Indian outfit.
Yeah.
During her Thanksgiving.
During the second film.
During the Thanksgiving massacre scene. I just want her coming down the street and just making everybody just super uncomfortable. She's an amazing horror icon, right? And it's the only truly Thanksgiving related one on my list.
Yeah.
Right.
And her stance on it's pretty fuck you.
Her stance on it is great, but I feel like it would be like the Batman, the original Batman, Tim Burton's Batman, like, when the Joker has all the floats and then there's actual mayhem.
I kept thinking about that one.
Right, exactly. And there's like actual mayhem and people are actually dying. I feel like when Wednesday Addams turned the corner, any horror fan in the street would be like, are we all about to get killed? Right? I want them genuinely nervous from the arrival of
who's holding the float. Is it going to be all the people, all the camp
Pugsley,
counselors, and it'll be the actual Addams family? That makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
but yeah. So
and in the middle, it'll be the camp counselors on the rotisserie.
Yes,
that'll be it.
Yes, totally.
That makes sense. You got to put them in there.
You're making me hungry. Every time I have a float, you've got something cooking. Popcorn.
People.
Human
flesh.
Why am I hungry? Never mind.
Human flesh.
My friend Dahmer. All right, go.
All right, so I like that Wednesday Addams one. I did not expect Addams Family to make it on this list. That is a good choice. Okay, so this one is a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. This is probably my most basic bitch one. This one's so dense, I like it, but it's not. There's nothing too crazy. I can probably come up with something. Here we go. So it's going to be I always say it wrong, the Necronomicon from Evil Dead.
Oh, you have an object. I was trying to think of an object. I didn't.
So it would be the book.
That's great.
And if it's being dragged by a vehicle, but it's being dragged by the 1973 Oldsmobile Delta 88 Royal,
of course,
the original, with a super horribly bad looking knockoff Bruce Campbell. Because
I love that you stipulated that.
Yeah. I didn't want him to actually take time to do that.
Bruce Campbell with a tiny chin.
Very tiny chin and and negative personality.
Negative personality. A chainsaw on the wrong arm. And
wrong. Yeah, it's a not even a chainsaw. They do like lawn scissors. Like they just completely fuck it up. And while
this is the left shark of the horror floats.
Yeah, and he tries to pull the whole evil Army of Darkness thing where he says, the 3 lines. Yeah. He never gets it right. But the book, here's the kicker. The book will still fly open, right?
Of course.
And we'll have plants in the audience. They'll get possessed and then stab another plant, hopefully, will stab their ankles with a pencil.
Theatrical. Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So that's a little Evil Dead 1 action in there.
Oh, I really
and
like
it's
that.
theatrical,
The pencil thing makes
not dangerous.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And a bunch of people running around wielding stabby pencils with a bunch of inflatable objects on the road.
Mm-hmm.
That's
with a knockoff Bruce Campbell. They'll be like,
great idea.
They'll call him. What, they can't. They won't be able to call him Bruce. They won't call him Ash. They'll call
him like Trashy.
They'll call him Bill. Bill Williams.
Bill Williams, everybody.
And awesome. And he'll say like he won't say groovy. He'll do a completely wrong decade's worth of slang. It just has to be completely wrong.
What other decade is he gonna do?
50s.
He's gonna do something.
Instead of groovy, he'll go, "Oh, geez." I don't know if that's a 50s.
That's his catchphrase.
I feel like it's pretty universal.
That's oh, geez. I'm trying to think of something from the Great Gatsby, like 20s, like, but I can't.
What a scream! What a roar!
Zoinks!
Zoinks! Zoinks!
That's not Great Gatsby.
All right, so Necronomicon,
very cultured podcast.
Yeah, not my number 4.
Right, exactly.
Just the one I have written down on a piece of paper.
Would be your number 2, actually. All right, so now my second runner-up on my definite list is the Tall Man from Phantasm. And the reason I'm having the Tall Man come down is not only did he have one of the coolest looks in horror, but first of all, I want the float to be the tallest float they've ever done, right? I want it to be I want it to be taller than the buildings. I want it to be spectacular, right? I want planes to be bouncing off his head as they try to go by, like he's, just wreaking havoc. But I want
not in the Macy's, New York.
No, bad idea.
Let's leave planes.
No, they harmlessly bouncing off his head.
Okay, there we go.
It's fine. But I also want a whole bunch of the Sentinel spheres, like flying around him on like
drones.
Yeah,
get a bunch of kids. Do some drones.
Yeah, they'll have a drone and then dress it up as a Sentinel sphere and have them like manipulating it and flying around him and zooming up and down the thing.
Perfect.
It would be an amazing spectacle, and he's just like this really striking thing. And he's, it's funny because I miss everybody that we lose, right? When someone dies, like a Donald Pleasance, like I'm just like, oh my God, it sucks that person's gone or whatever. But I miss them in terms of like a career. Like Donald Pleasance did a lot of things I liked. It wasn't just Halloween.
Yeah.
And there's something really about Angus Scrimm that is like, because that's the only thing I know him from is Phantasm. I don't think maybe he did soap operas or something I don't know about, but that's the only time I ever experienced him. So he really is like joined with the character to me, right? So seeing that character like physically resurrected for a second and just like coming down the road, like whatever, I would just be cheering.
Would he have a speaker on him? So
because you need that voice, right?
Every couple hundred feet, just, boy.
That's essential. That's absolutely essential.
I think we got a real good parade going on here.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun.
And Phantasm, I wouldn't have.
It's because of the spheres. I just want the drone thing is genius.
That's smart.
The only thing you haven't added to this yet is what he's cooking. I don't know what he's cooking coming down the road, but that's the thing is I want the
maybe
spheres
some of the drones are carrying some of that delicious New York za. I don't know.
Maybe
we haven't incorporated pizza yet.
No, that's true.
We got cooked human flesh, but no za. We're in New York.
We do, yeah.
What are we doing?
Now, I'm really curious because I think my number one is possibly the same as your not number one on your
Well, mine's
on your
not a
non-list.
number one, and
Right.
mine's Regan from the Exorcist.
Oh, we didn't overlap. Thank God. All right, go ahead.
Okay,
Sell me.
there's some stipulations to this one.
Yes.
Number one, there has to be
You're going to spew more viscous fluids on the crowd this time.
goddamn right. So listen to this.
Nick,
Listen
you're
to this.
drenching the entire...
It doesn't matter. In fact, I even put in my notes. I
see this coming a mile away.
Preacher's holding the float down. Obs.
Obs.
Gotta have a balance.
Yes.
And there has to be a high school marching band just playing Tubular Bells over and over again. And this is what I put in my notes. I put this in my notes here. Now, this one is more of a Gallagher type act.
I love the way we have notes for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So the marching band playing Tubular Bells.
You've made me hungry the whole podcast, and now you're just going to take it all away.
We're throwing it all away.
All right.
They're the ones who are going to be on the receiving end of the endless gallons that is going to be thrown up on them.
Pea soup everywhere.
And also, so there has to be a marching band in front, and she preferably has to go last.
Yes.
Because we can't make the whole runway for the... Like, if she's first, and she's just spewing pea soup
no,
everywhere.
yeah.
Everyone's going to be slipping. The Oldsmobile's going to lose traction, just spin, and then it's going to be a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, totally.
So
Clearly.
she's going to have a high school band in front. She's going to just keep vomiting over and over.
Her head's going to rotate, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, it has to.
It has to.
And I was thinking, like, well, she could probably vomit while it's rotating, but I don't think the tech's there. I'm just going to call it and say it's not. I know anything's possible,
right.
but I'm just gonna say no.
Okay.
Let's not do it.
That's okay.
No, because we're gonna get blood.
Whatever we got to compromise to make this happen. That's fine.
Okay, so she's still gonna spin her head, but then when she locks back into normal position, bleh, all over the marching band.
I love it,
and it's gonna be fucking gross.
Yeah, no, that's great.
And so
totally
put her in last, and then of course the preacher's holding her down.
Can I add a little drama to this?
Absolutely.
All right, so like here's what I want to do. So you know how like the people who love the parade, they don't want it to be over, right? But it's the last float. So when she comes down, that's going to be it, right?
Ooh.
So when she comes around the
something?
corner, yeah, go ahead.
I have the last float, the Santa Claus, because Santa Claus.
Oh wait, you have
closes it
another
up.
float? Oh, this is
the ending. They end cap it with Santa. It's always Santa Claus wrapping this shit up. But go ahead.
Well, if she was the last or second last float, just to add a little, make the parade for the fans, make the parade a little longer, right? She comes around the corner and she's about to proceed down the street, and then just a whole line of priests jumps into the street in front of her and goes, "The power of Christ compels you," and she doesn't move, and they hold her back, and then she like tramples them, right? Like just one by one, like just a little delay.
So then the Craigslist ad then becomes we need 100 people for the Pennywise vote, and then we need like a couple dozen priests who are going to lose their lives on the streets of New York.
Well, no, I mean they don't really weigh as much as they look. She's going to trample them, and
someone died in the goddamn Barney float.
They'll be fine. They'll get up after.
I don't know how he died, but
after it's over, it's going to be.
Well, we'll have a couple on reserve.
You got run over by a balloon. If you can't take that, then you deserve to die.
I don't know if you deserve it.
Was that harsh?
That's a very. I mean,
I'm getting hungry.
They were just answering our Craigslist call. They just deserved a good paying job.
All right, fair enough.
Okay, so what's your last one? That was my non-listical one.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So my number one on my definite list is Black Phillip.
I almost put him in.
Yeah. I thought you would. I thought we were definitely going to overlap.
No, I went with the Necronomicon.
He's the newest horror icon that I enjoyed to that level, so I feel like he deserves like some respect because everything about the Macy's Day Parade is like old school, and they only show you things that were made in the 40s. So, well, not really. I mean, they did Pikachu, but
yeah.
But he's a new horror icon. So, like the horror icon that probably lines up before him would be Sam, right? But he's The Witch is 2016, so he's relatively brand new. And the movie The Witch ends with levitation, so that's what I want.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Right, I literally want, as he's coming down the street, I want the whole ring of like float witches, naked, of course, and then I want them like levitating into the air one after the other, like flying up, above towards Black Phillip, like he's just like raising them all, and then clearly he should be asking people if they want to live deliciously from time to time as they go down the parade, because I feel like, again, I'm all into interaction. It's a family,
which fits in because he says, "Do you want to live deliciously?" And we can be like, "Speaking of delicious," then the Phantasm Ball comes in with a slice, pizza, with a slice of the za.
Exactly. So that's what I want. I want him occasionally asking small children and people if they want to live deliciously, because I want it to be interactive, and of course they will say yes, which means this is a prime moment for actual Satan to harvest souls if he's paying attention, and if he's not, then he doesn't exist, right? So
what a better place,
a public service to whether to prove his existence or not, like at this moment. So,
and a lot of potential for a lot of to pick up a lot more followers.
Yeah, absolutely.
At the Macy's Day,
absolutely,
parade,
absolutely. Plus, he should also be kind of unpredictable, because I heard the goat that played Black Phillip in The Witch was kind of an asshole, and gave the director all kinds of headaches. He couldn't control him, and he wanted him to be in the movie more, but he was just like a total asshole goat, so he wouldn't follow any...
We need the same goat.
He wouldn't follow any directions. So I want the float to become untethered and tilt and
Robert Eggers, if you're listening, get us that goat's agent now.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's the top of my list. My actual
actual list. Here's okay. So the ending of the Macy's Day Parade is always Santa Claus. Every year it's been Santa Claus in a sleigh, bringing in the whole Christmas season. So we're gonna end it where I know we got to knock off Bruce Campbell, but we're gonna get actual Stephen King.
Nice.
In this one, I think Stephen King should end it. And I put this down. I put he should be slightly annoyed that he's.
Yeah, he will be. That's real.
That he's there. I don't know how he is in big crowds, but I would just imagine he's there. He looks very unsettled.
Sure.
And people are like, "Where's Santa?" And they'll just keep asking, "Where's Santa?" And he'll say, "Fuck you. I'm Santa." No, it'll be Stephen King. It'll be Stephen King dressed as Santa.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
From the Tales from the Crypt all through the house. So he'll look like
Of course.
So he'll look kind of psychotic.
Yeah, he'd do that.
Or just normal.
He'd do that.
Should it be him in a Santa costume, or should it be him
He's
like
a very
in front?
charitable person. He gives to all kinds of causes. He'd do that. He donates to libraries in Maine all the time.
Oh, then what he can do is he can throw hardcover books at children.
His books weigh like 50 pounds, dude.
Fucking right. You can say "Merry Christmas."
Here's a copy of it. Smack.
Yeah. So, and by the end of it, he'll be like Hugh Jackman. He'll have like the biggest fucking shredded arms in the world. And there you go.
Very, very.
And
nice.
then he'll close out.
I would fly to New York to see this. I would make this.
I think the only stipulation is that he has to do it on a sleigh from Maine.
That's fine.
So it has to just be a really long sleigh ride from Maine all the way down.
Why would you torture the master of war?
To New York. I mean, I don't know. Do you know if Stephen King likes sleigh rides?
No, I don't. He could.
He might.
Yeah.
I don't fucking know.
I'm sure he loves being on the road. What could go wrong being in long trips on the road?
That's what I'm. Hopefully, he doesn't go like off the road, and then he lands in a fan's house, or lands. Fan finds him.
Number one fan.
Yeah, number one fan.
That's not good.
Oh, there's a lot of shit that can go wrong with this. Maybe, you know what? Here's what we'll do. If King can't make it, and let us know if you can't.
Yes.
We'll just have knockoff Bruce Campbell put on big glasses and sit in front of a computer, and then he'll be our Bill Williams and
Bill Claus.
Yeah, he'll be Bill King.
That's fine.
And that's how we'll wrap it up.
Sweet. I'm going to this parade.
Are you not in the festive mood right now?
Yeah.
I'm telling you,
I am.
If this didn't make you jazzed up for fucking Thanksgiving, then I give up. I don't know what will.
Yep. No, this totally did it for me. As soon as it hits me that none of this is ever going to happen, I'm going to be super sad.
Well, since it's not going to happen,
yes,
it won't hurt the fans to tell us who they love to see in the Macy's Day Parade.
Yeah, let us know. Yeah, definitely. Let us know on the Facebook page who your choices would be. I would imagine that we're going to get a lot of Pinhead because I like the design of a Pinhead float because it looks like it shouldn't work because it looks like it should be like punctured
popped,
like a million times. Right, exactly.
I like that.
I almost had him on there, but I actually don't like looking at him. So
no, it's kind of slightly uncomfortable.
Yeah, so I didn't.
It'll be just as uncomfortable as looking at
Bill Williams.
Bill Williams as Stephen King and Ash Williams.
Yes.
Easy. All right, so there it is. There's who we would have in the Macy's Day Parade float. And now, how low can we go? Here is our review for 1981's Ghost Story.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know,
not to be confused with
Ghost
Story.
Rooney Mara
eating.
Is it Rooney Mara?
Eating a pie.
Yeah, whatever. Though I will still always say, and anytime she's mentioned, I was a production assistant on Carol, and she ordered a grilled cheese truck. So if you ever hear this, I haven't seen Ghost Story, but I will always remember that grilled cheese on set.
That's awesome.
Thank you. But no, this is 1981's Ghost Story. And it is rated at 30 something. It's down there. Anyways, well, while we're looking it up, the big selling point for me for this film is not only does it have like a fucking stellar cast, but it's Dick Smith's makeup.
It's 35% right.
35%.
Yeah, the makeup is incredible.
The makeup is done by Dick Smith, and if you're a horror fan, you know who that is. Dick Smith, known for doing makeup on The Exorcist, and not just doing Reagan,
right?
But making Father, what's his name, look older.
Karras?
Yep, that was actually a young stud, and he made him look old, and apparently, according to legend, prevented him from getting some roles because they thought he was an older guy. That's legend. I don't know if that's true. Right?
That's awesome.
But Dick Smith did the makeup. He also did Godfather.
Yep. And
Scanners and Amadeus. just a legend, and his makeup in this film is incredible.
Yeah, and you showed me a picture of some unused makeups that didn't make the movie that should have because they are so
It's
creepy.
gnarly.
Yep.
And what's great about this is the makeup in it's amazing, but the way they used it in the film, it's sort of like it's the less is more. Mm-hmm. So you never linger on until the very, very, very end.
Right.
You don't linger onto a shot. It's very brief.
Yep.
But it's very effective, and it's like old school watching a film where something happens. This is the first time I've actually rewound a horror film to look at a creature. I haven't done that in a long fucking time since Cloverfield.
That's cool.
And I did it with this, and this movie came out fucking a good while ago. So let's just walk through the film. It opens up beautifully.
Yes.
I like it when I think it opens up with them telling the ghost story. So it shows the town. And I was telling you this earlier. It looks like one of those Christmas cookie tins that you get. How it has like the town painted with the snow. It looked just like that. It was
that's the end shot too. So
yeah,
they looped it. Yep.
It's really fucking pretty.
Yep.
And I really liked it. And then my first note was love that painting. And then it does a dolly shot into the group while they were talking. And I forget the name of their group. What the fuck? The Chowder Society.
It's such a great name.
I love that. And it had, as they were telling it, had that red lighting to it, and it felt like Creepshow lighting. Mm-hmm. We really like that. And the one thing that we talked about, or that we mentioned, we wanted to talk about, was the first story that they're telling about the guy getting buried alive.
Yes.
How unsettling was that?
That was super great. And John Houseman is the one narrating it, and he is perfect for that. He's like, it's the same as when you get like Richard Attenborough, the guy who played the guy who opened Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah.
They just have that storyteller voice and tone.
It's soothing, kind of bassy.
Yeah, he wasn't soothing. He was like scaring the crap away.
Yeah.
But he has that pacing, you know what I mean? Like, it's just really, really good. And the interesting thing about that is a really, really inappropriate story for that guy to be telling that group in light of what you find out about the events of, because the guy's buried alive accidentally, which, spoiler, is what they did to some real human being.
Yeah.
So the fact that he was telling that story was, I mean, it's either the movie's trying to tell us that they've put it so out of their minds that they don't even register that as inappropriate. They forgot about the crime they did. Or they're just assholes. I'm not sure which one it is.
I would say, given the flashback, at least one of them was an asshole.
I mean, you don't know that. When the story was super cool in the beginning, but after I finished the movie and thought about like the plot, which is kind of convoluted, so I was trying to figure out like what went where. And then I remember the story they told in the beginning. I was like, "Hey, wait a minute!
You guys,
that's basically the story of something you actually did to a person, jackass."
Yeah, that was kind of fucked up. But yeah, when him scratching at the coffin, because we just did an episode about lore, and with the first episode they talk about being buried alive, and that's just there's no story you can tell where someone gets buried alive that's not immediately scary.
It's great.
So it opens up with that, and I fucking love that. And the one thing I skipped over in my notes was I like like how old school movies would play the score while doing the credits.
Yes.
And the music in this film is pretty fucking frightening.
Yep.
By itself.
Yep.
So it just cooks the audience up while it's like showing you, okay, here's the production designer, here's the AD, here's all this stuff. And it's playing that terrifying music, and I'm like, fuck. I know this is easily gonna be like more highly rated
than 35%.
Than 35%. For sure. Easy.
And before we walk through like the rest of the plot, I just want to. One of the more interesting things that we discovered, I think, doing this podcast, or at least one of the things that stuck with me is, hey, that was a realization that we had that I hadn't heard elsewhere, was we tried to think of all the horror movies we've watched for the podcast, which had the oldest cast. And up until this movie, that was Exorcist 3.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was nobody young in that cast. It was all old people, right? But this movie makes them look like a teenage slasher movie, because these people are all 140 years old. And
it was like tail end of career.
I was like, it's a great cast, but holy shit! Horror movies are about the young. Like typically, that's This is like the outlier movie of all time.
Fucking Fred Astaire.
For horror. Yeah, it was crazy. And there's like stunt scenes, like Fred Astaire's in a car that like overturns later in the movie.
And then he's just fine.
And then he's just fine, which is great. But they actually had him crawl out of an upside down car. And he's so like physically agile because he's fucking Fred Astaire.
Yeah.
That he doesn't seem frail. It seems like he could kick his way out of that car even though he was like 112.
Oh, he did stab a crazy psycho dude.
Yeah, you totally. So I just thought it was hilarious that they were having action scenes with this cast.
I like that car flipped, and I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
You just flipped Fred Astaire.
I don't even think he had a seatbelt on. All right, so then it comes to the one of I think maybe 2 or 3 questionable scenes in the film, which is the man falling out the window. So that scene. Everything leading up to the window falling scene. The window falling scene looked like garbage, but let's back up just a hair.
Yes.
Everything leading up to that, the tone,
Yes.
the acting, and
Yes.
the cinematography was fucking perfect. There was a one shot. There's tons of shots in this film that I think we did a horror painting episode where like if you could take a frame from a film and hang it on the wall, this film had like 70 of those.
Yeah.
In it, and there was the shot where she was laying face down the bed and he was walking up to her. I thought looked pretty. But then there's a shot where he sits on the bed and it does like a reverse onto him. And it looked like a scene. Oh, what's that? It reminded me of that one Michael Fassbender film where he's just like a fuck machine. I forget the name of the movie. But it looked like something like straight out of that. Like the cinematography was just really fucking good. And the colors were amazing.
It was really, and it was really. I know it's from an era, but it stands on its own 2 feet. It didn't feel like I didn't feel like I have seen a bunch of movies that look like this.
No,
which was cool.
No, and it had such a cool vibe. And then it leads up to the first like makeup, like monster looking scene that we've seen,
and so just real quick because I think this is one of the cool things that this movie does. And one thing that I really appreciate when horror movies do, because, you know, a scarred demon in a sweater designed by the colors to fuck with your eyes wearing razor glove, he's just going to be scary. Like, you don't have to make him scary. He's just going to be scary, right? So, but this movie made people laying on their side facing away from you scary.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like if I went home and my fiance was like laying that way after watching this movie, I'd be like, "What's your face really look like?" Like it's that.
Did you moisturize?
Yeah, it's like unsettling. That image runs through the whole movie.
Yeah,
and this is the first time you see it, and it's a great reveal when he flips her over. But before the flip, you know something's not right
because her voice is just that ice cold.
Totally.
Like thing, I forget her dialogue, but it's just like I am blah blah blah, and you're like fucking Christ, this isn't good.
But I just love the idea of. I mean, we know that facing away from someone is inherently scary, like i.e. the end of Blair Witch Project. But this did it in a really domestic, normal situation, but gave it.
It was daylight, or it was like early morning ish,
and I thought that was super cool.
I just love it. Even the shot, just the bathtub overflowing, like that first shot, like it's such a good setup. So
that
then
gave me a whole Room 237 vibe.
Yeah, yeah, it does. So then we see her face, and half of her face is rotten, and she gets worse and worse throughout the film, which is fucking cool. Yeah, I love that.
The progression is awesome.
So she turns over, half her face is missing, and then it goes to the really. The effect is terrible because it was 1981, and he falls out the window, and it's that obvious like Vertigo style look where he falls, and it's just like his little shrimp dick falling. And I feel bad. That actor's probably still.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell was going on.
He was falling from the sky. That makes sense. It's cold. But that effect is just. He's gonna tune into this episode where we're talking about his dick. But no, the effect looks bad, and it's just because unless like your film did it for real, like faking that effect in 1981, it's just fucking damn near impossible.
Right, yeah, totally.
There's no getting away. Like it even looked cheesy in Tim Burton's Batman when Jack Nicholson falls.
Or Die Hard, yeah.
Yeah, like there's just no getting around it.
So per Nick, the only good falling scenes that were happening in the early 80s were in snuff films. Awesome.
Yep.
If you push people off for real. Then it looked great.
Family vacation videos at the Grand Canyon. That is how you see some top-notch people falling.
Good.
So
actually, though, it's funny because that effect was really terrible until he hit. When he hit in the pool, it actually looked really cool.
And it felt gross.
Yep.
Like it felt like that motherfucker fell.
And I was trying to figure out if all those scratches on his back were from sex or from falling through the glass. Because it looked purposeful. It was really weird. But it was really cool how, like, it didn't pull any punches. That was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
When he landed.
Yeah.
Which was good to see from a movie that started with that ghost storytelling thing where you're thinking maybe this is going to be really tame. Mm-hmm. But this solved that.
I was just thinking, what would have made this film was 100% is if they showed his brother, tiny little dick, and then it goes to his brother and he just fucking hung. And that's why Eva chose the brother accordingly. Okay, so
sorry, go ahead.
No. Do you want a sip of water? Just to totally clear the palate because we have time to edit this one, not until next week.
Totally good.
My next thing I thought was weird. Okay, so we have this like high society Scotch drinking men who just sit around fire telling ghost stories, and then he fucking pulls up in a Woody.
That was weird.
They wear bow ties and was nice shit. The one guy drove like a fucking Rolls Royce, and he came up in a fucking Woody.
Yeah, that was really weird.
And he's gonna shield on his son, going, "That's all you brought? Fuck you, Dad." You pull up in this thing? I'd rather walk.
That was terrible.
I thought that was very weird, but that's just that has nothing to do with the merit of the film. But then it goes into the dad and the son sitting, and I love the way they set this up. Holy shit. So the fucking dad is on one end of the table, son's on the other end of the table, and the brother just died, so it's like very weird tension. They didn't even get along.
Yep.
But then it goes to it, so it has like the single of the dad, the single of the son, and then it pulls out, and you have like a two shot of them sitting far apart, shooting through some doors, and it has this like kind of creepy like organ piano to the right, which those are always creepy. But what I loved was there's a chair in the middle of the table that's casting a really long shadow.
Yep.
Just like showing the absence of the brother. And I'm like, fuck.
Such a good shot.
Is that a good shot? This film is just littered with amazing,
which is awesome,
fucking shots. And the dialogue between the two, the actors are really good too. I actually really like the son in the film, who played both brothers.
You would think that he could get buried in that cast, but he did a good job.
And he was good. And there's something about that acting I can't put my fucking finger on. Like, it's this 80s, and it's even like the way like his hair was done, like when he was like the whole college professor kind of guy. He has this acting, and I don't know, I'm sure like we could have some actors on the show who could describe like what it is that he's doing that makes his performance good, but there was just something about it where he felt genuine but not overdone.
Right.
But it was just like it was solid acting, but not in the terms of like how like Fred Astaire was. You know what I mean?
Right, totally.
It was just such a good performance, and I don't know. I've seen actors do it before, like oh fuck, who's the guy? The guy who was in what's that film? Where the girl comes out in the red bikini and throws up her top and he's like spanking it in the bathroom. Who's that actor?
That was Phoebe Cates, right?
Yeah, who's the kid? Who's the guy in that film?
Is that Sean Penn?
No, Sean Penn was Spicoli.
Oh yeah, I don't remember.
Who's that actor? It reminds me of that style of actor. They have this acting that's just feels really natural, and it just works.
He was super believable. And it's hard to play people in academia and make it believable.
Yes,
that's usually like. I mean, it's obvious when they make someone ridiculous play it, like Famke Janssen as a physics professor or something. But,
what was the Bond film?
Yeah, like right
where she was like
right, like whatever. But this was, I mean, he made it work, and even in some weird moments, because I'm sure you're going to get to it, but there's a weird backstory thing where he's in love with, he's calling her Alma at that point, right? Like when they first meet.
I think so.
And they're making out in the bathroom. They're making out everywhere.
They're just going to town.
And it was just he like made that believable, which was weird because that was a weird segment. But yeah, go ahead.
It was very weird. And then I think at one point they go into that old house.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and that's when I was like, holy shit, the sets in this film are fucking good.
Yeah, they're so good.
That old Victorian looking house was
was awesome.
It was creepy. It looked fucking cool.
Yep.
Just a few shots in there. Like to me, like this felt like old school filmmaking where you just had a completely like just a good fucking group of talent.
Yep.
Just making a film, which is why I can't fathom why it's 35%.
I can't either. It's mind-boggling. But that house actually is funny because I was expecting so little from this movie from how it was rated. I know we should know better, but like subconsciously, like,
it still happens,
right? And I don't feel like that house was less convincing than the house in It 2017.
Yeah,
and the fact that this movie pulled that off is just staggering.
Yeah.
To me.
The Niebold house.
Yeah, it felt like just as menacing, and I felt like I knew where I was in it, and
you didn't want to be there,
right? Yeah,
like there was like because the guy went there during like the daytime.
Yep,
and it still felt fucking scary.
Yep.
The other thing I loved was he sees the two. I think they said they've two patients who escaped from a mental institution.
Yes.
I love how the one officer goes, "Yeah, he was part of some satanic cult in California," which being in 1981 was at the end of the whole.
Why is it always got to be California?
I don't know. I thought the same shit.
Satanic cult from like
fucking
Florida.
Manson just ruined everything. Yeah, it's never like, oh, this is a satanic cult from Maine, from Cleveland, Ohio. I like that. What was it? The lighting with the crazy dude. Oh, the fucking the when he comes down from the elevator, the crazy guy.
Yes.
That fucking scene.
That was
lit.
Scary.
Dude, that was tense.
That was very scary.
The way it was lit too, like it was just dark and just like a little beam across his fucking face.
Yep. And I think part of the power of the movie is that, and it's weird because the plot sort of took this away from me later, but at least earlier in the movie, you know how you raise the stakes in the movie by changing who, you know, that it's super awkward when like Michael Myers is like walking down the sidewalk and coming across a child, and you're like, oh god, is he gonna kill a kid? You know, and this is with really super old people under threat, and they're threatening like, you know, Fred Astaire and or whoever, and you're like he can't even run, dude. Like that's nice. You know, it's just it raised the stakes. It just made it more like menacing.
Yeah, and the lighting in this film, now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably one of the best lit horror films.
Isn't that funny? Because I thought it was going to look like shit. I actually called you and asked you before I even watched it. I was like, does this movie look like shit? Because I watched the trailer on YouTube and it was like super gauzy, hazy.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, and this is beautiful. The film is beautiful.
Yeah. And I was actually kind of wondering, like, is there like a Criterion? Like, I would buy this film if the Criterion people were to like, I don't know, doctor up this film,
restore it up. Yep.
Yeah, restore it up. I would totally buy it. Give that a second. Let's see here. Oh, the music when he's talking to him after he comes down that elevator. It's that violin. Or not, I don't know if it's a violin. It's that stringy, like, creepiness.
Yep.
And the music in this film, like the music, the lighting, the characters, the acting, the cinematography. This is not a 35% film,
yeah,
people.
What is going on?
So I love the music between that. So then that leads to my second awkward part, and that was the ice cream bit.
Yeah, that was terrible.
That was fucking weird.
That was terrible.
He's like, close your eyes, and she eats this ice cream all like orgasmic, and then she does the same thing, but she like makes like a chocolate mustache with him.
Yep.
And like I guess that was probably a scene that probably played better in the book. I'm assuming. Because on screen it came out very awkward.
Yes,
but the romance overall didn't between the two.
No.
It was,
and I want to give a shout out to Alice Krieg, who played Alma Eva, and she was great.
Yeah.
She was a great villain. I think it's problematic that this movie is so on the side of the men against the one bad, evil woman in the whole plot. But whatever, she just played it great. Like she was super believable and very, very creepy.
And then she was. And then when she was on like the decline into madness, it was convincible. It was terrifying Because when she started, when he said like he didn't want to get married and all that shit, I was like, oh fuck.
Yep.
Like when she started going crazy.
Yep, totally.
Let's see here.
And she has, by the way, she has that saying. She does it a couple times, and it's so good because she's like, "I'll take you places you've never been. I'll show you things you've never seen. I'll watch the little life run out of you."
Oh, I love that.
And she does it at least twice in the movie, and it's that punchline one is just great.
The life run out of you.
She had great delivery on that.
I could imagine like reading that part in the book. Like that's, you know what that reminds me of? And they used this in It. Was I'll unzip your guts.
Yep.
It was like that. It was just like a holy shit. Like I never thought of it like that. So yeah, the couple feeding the ice cream was a little weird, but my note. Couple feeding ice cream's a little awkward. The romance, I'll buy it. Like it worked.
For sure.
And then what happened? Oh my god, this got dark fast. I love this film. What the fuck happened there? What kind of note is that? I need to be more specific. What happened in that scene?
You know what? Things happen.
I think that's when she started getting all weirdo on him.
When he caught her out at the window.
Yeah. That's when I got
hypnotized.
Yeah. That's okay. That's what you mean, Nick. Yep. Thank you.
That makes sense.
And then after that, he finally goes to meet with the Chowder Society.
Yep.
And I really liked that scene. It felt like that very old school man, like you can't join our club.
Yep.
And then he was like, I want to buy my way in. The guy's like, buy your way in. He goes, no, not like with money, fucking. He's like with a story,
right?
With a story.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved seeing the weight of the story breaking down those men. Like, like they did a terrible fucking thing. I don't know what you don't know what they did over the years to get over it.
Right.
But I love seeing it.
I don't think they did shit to get over it. That's part of my problem with this movie.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that it makes it less. It doesn't mean that it deserves a rating because I love this movie. It's just the construction is super weird because these guys are bad killers. Like they did a really, really bad thing and then basically just forgot about it. And literally, I think it's John Houseman later when he's explaining and it's hanging in the room when they confess to what they did. And he literally says, yeah, then we went back to work or school or, just put it on our heads. I mean, and they have nightmares and it's showing you that and there's some guilt and whatever. But they seem to be having a pretty good They get together and tell each other horror stories. They're murderers.
That's the weirdest part. Like, hey, should we just keep this theme going? I think we've committed to it with the whole murder.
We're going to have a joke society, but now we're killers.
Knock, knock, who's there? Not Eva. She's dead.
Maybe.
So then it goes to so then after he tells his story about with Eva, then it goes to the young Chowder Society.
Yep.
And that first shot was pretty cool. It was young person one here, then it go to someone who's like more towards the camera, out of focus, then go to the next person, boom, and it just went down the line of showing you all of them.
Yes.
I like how it established it. The casting for the young Chowder group was great. You didn't spend a whole lot of time with them, but I liked it.
No, they were cool.
And the costume design, because I guess they said that was 50 years ago, and this was 81, so it would be like the 30s, right there. And it was like some kind of like Halloween ball or something like that. I really liked the costume design of that. It was really fucking cool. Kind of had like a Great Gatsby.
That was an intense scene.
Yeah, it was good. And then I see the thing is like I don't know the characters' names because we didn't spend a lot of time with the other members, so I had a hard time telling who was who.
Yeah,
you sort of got a little bit. Like I'm pretty sure that
I felt like they all did it, so I didn't care that much.
Yeah. At the end, they all did, but
right.
really it was like two of them, like the kind of rapey guy, and then the guy who was like kind of in love.
Yep.
Which I think was the Fred Astaire guy, right? The guy who lived at the.
I think so.
Lived at the end. So I liked the actors that they had for the young one, and then at the end, I started to really love Eva.
Yes.
At the end, when she was making all of them pay.
Yep.
For what they did, because it's very Tales from the Crypt.
Yep.
Style. And my note was, I love Eva. She does not fuck around.
Nope.
She was good.
But they cracked her head on that thing, and then that car scene. Holy shit!
You knew it was coming too.
That was so good. It was so good for a movie that's like old school, That was really effective.
Yeah.
Her being in the back of the car, they think she's dead. They're going to push the car in the water. And they were they were sort of distraught, but they were upset, like, and they were playing that really well. And then that car goes in the water, and then you see her wake up and look through the back window as the car goes down. It was so good.
You knew something was gonna happen when he holds up the flashlight.
Yep.
I was like, oh, fuck, because it never occurred to me how Eva died.
Yes.
Right. And so I was like, he held up the flashlight, and I was like, please don't fuck, because like don't do the buried alive thing always freaks me out. Yeah. And as soon as she popped. Oh man!
And she looked so scared.
She was such a good actress.
Yeah.
Holy fucking shit, was she good?
Yep.
And then that was our other gripe with the film, is that it was only the one guy who jumped in, and I was like, no one else.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. Like they were clearly. So I don't know if the movie intended this, but the way that I read this moment, she wakes up. That car is still afloat, but it's going down fast.
Yeah.
Of the 4 guys that are there, one goes in and decides he's afraid of getting his knees wet, so he doesn't only go so far, and then just keeps yelling her name over and over again, because that's helpful. She's gonna hear you at the bottom of the fucking pond. The other 3 guys don't do. The other 3 guys don't do anything at all.
No.
And the way I was reading it, this was that. They either thought to themselves it's too late, but that should not stop you from attempting a rescue of a mistake of this magnitude.
Yes.
But the other thing is that if they pulled her out, they would be in huge trouble. Mm-hmm. I felt like they were just conveniently paralyzed. Like, well, it's going down. I guess
we've already committed murder,
which makes them even worse people than So I don't know what was intended there, but I really started to dislike this group. After
I
was totally on Eva's side after that point. By the way,
then.
So I'm on the villain side essentially in this movie, which is the only other person I was rooting for was the young guy. Mm-hmm. And Fred Astaire, because he's fucking Fred Astaire.
Yeah, that's I don't give a shit about the other one. But that was my biggest problem, because that leads us to the ending. When the lawyer died, though, holy shit. So it has the whole scene he's driving. I think that's in the trailer too, because I think I saw one on YouTube where it was that scene where he's driving and he sees her in the middle of the road.
Well, so she kills one of the Chowder Society before that, right? He
jumps off the bridge. The guy's father.
Okay,
he jumps
off
the bridge.
So the father goes off the bridge. That's first. By the way, that was a beautiful scene.
That was really cool.
It was beautiful how that was shot.
And you get a second look at Eva, a little bit gooey.
She's really good at scaring people into falling. That's like her move.
That's a good move.
That's her signature move.
Yeah.
But then remember, the other guy dies. He's looking for his pills, right? And then he has a heart attack when she shows himself to her. He's like into some plate glass.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Because he's the doctor, because he goes to the medicine cabinet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So she takes him out, and I thought that was a really effective scene. I thought the kills in this movie were really good.
Yeah.
So those kills came before what we're talking about, and now we get to the point where she kills
the
John
lawyer.
Houseman, the lawyer, and that was my favorite kill.
Dude,
in the movie.
that scared me. Like, I watched it this morning.
The rearview mirror, right?
Yeah.
It was
what
great.
the fuck,
that
dude?
Was so great.
For like a film like this, like I knew you knew the way the mirror was positioned that something scary was going to happen.
I don't think you knew that in 1981, but yeah, we know that now.
Yeah, and just the way that kid, because it was the kid with the other psycho kid guy.
Yep.
He just fucking it's like it reminded me of the fucking kid who meows in The Grudge, almost. But the way he just popped up and attacked him was fucking frightening, because there's no. He growls and screams when he goes to attack him and kill him.
Yep.
But when he first appears, there's no sting, there's no jump scare music. Yep. It's just he pops up.
Yeah.
And it being silent is way more effective.
Yeah. It's really refreshing to see that they used to do that way. But one thing that I thought was cool was they turned the car into its own little environment, because what they did was, so he sees Eve in the road and he swerves. That was awesome, by the way. That whole visual thing was awesome. Mm-hmm.
Because did you notice when he went through her, it was her normal face?
Yep.
And then for like a second, it was a skull.
That was great.
That was cool.
And then they have the courage to beat the hell out of a Rolls Royce, which is great.
Yeah.
Or apparently so, movie magic. And then it goes into a snowdrift, so now it's half buried, so it's sticking out. but it's completely dark in the car, almost completely dark in the car because it's buried, right?
Yeah.
So he's in this trapped situation, and that's when he sees the kid in the rearview mirror, and it's because it's like a little coffin now, that car.
Yeah.
And then the kid attacks him, and then you pull away to the guy on the tow truck who's watching, or whatever he's in.
Mm-hmm.
He's watching
Snowplow.
Snowplow. He's watching from afar, and the horn starts to go, and it's just so well done.
It was a good death. And then and then it goes to the ending, which the ending, what do you think of how the film ended? Did it felt a little weak sauce?
All right, so I don't. Here's the thing. I really liked the retrieving the car visually. Because the car was super creepy and Eva's
she was gooey.
Corpse was super creepy and seemingly still sort of mobile for a second. I know it could have been like an optical illusion, but
I think she definitely went
seemed
after
to like
for a second.
lunge for a second.
Yeah,
you know?
I think that was definitely.
But then they kind of played it off like it was falling forward. So I like that they left that ambiguous. That was cool.
In my eyes, that was Eva's last, like, if I can just
get yeah, which I think is great. There was it overplayed the young guy stranded with his splinted leg in the house, but when she was creeping up on him in her wedding dress, that was pretty cool
because she did that fucking line again.
Yeah,
the life run out of you.
Yep, which I thought was really great.
And I was waiting for it. I knew her face was gonna go full on decrepit.
Yep,
at the
and
end.
she scared the shit out of him, and it was great because he was legitimately terrified. So I actually liked it. It just felt like puzzle pieces that you couldn't get them to lay flat.
Yeah,
like they just something
it kind of fits, and you're like,
yeah, if something's sticking out somewhere that's not right, but I can't put my finger on exactly what it was because I liked the parts individually and visually. You and I, you know this already because we talked about it before we started recording. I hate that Fred Astaire lived because he's just as guilty as all the rest of these guys, unless I
promised his wife he'd take her to the south of France. If that's not plot armor, I don't know what is.
So he gets to just have a good life after being like a murderer, so whatever.
Wasn't he the one that was in love with her? And the young
I think so. He might have even been the one who tried to go in the water, but like it didn't try very hard. I don't know. It's still
maybe that was enough. No, because she was
still trying to kill him.
Yeah, she was still going after.
No, she got fucked over. She had a horrible life after, and quick, not so quick, horrible death because of that guy along with his friends. And now he just gets to continue.
I wonder if the other chowder group had any next of kin. Because she only went after the one guy's.
I don't think they did.
Son.
They couldn't, or unless she killed him off script or off camera or whatever. But so I don't like that. I don't get why they left that one guy alive, unless he's just Fred Astaire or whatever. But that part was sort of weird. And I agree that it was sort of weakish in. I really didn't like the fact that the way to neutralize her. They all do this. Like Nightmare on Elm Street did this. Remember, you had to like rebury Freddy or something.
Yeah. Like, you had to like let it was almost sort of like that lake and car was like purgatory or something. Right.
But I thought it was kind of funny because when everyone left the young kid in the house stranded, and no one came back to him. In the course of the movie, John Houseman left. He never made it back because he died. Then Fred Astaire left. Then Fred Astaire went to the pond instead of back to the house. And every time they were pulling the car, he was turning to the tow guy going, pull faster, pull it out faster. We got to help the kid. And like you're in a totally different location. No one knows what the hell you're talking about. Helping the kid.
Hey, man. I don't know. By that point, all your friends are dead. You're probably like, well, Eva's gonna give us like 10 minutes. That whole speech she does is like 3 minutes, so we can game this out.
That's true. But yeah, I mean, I honestly don't think it was weak enough to really harm the movie or even like
it just felt like it was abrupt was my thing.
Yes. Yeah, I'm with you.
Like if they had let it, like I don't know, let them breathe for like another minute or something like that. Go back and see his wife.
Although I mean, they gave Ava her star moment in the house with that creepy approach to the guy, and that was pretty good. So yeah, no.
Ending on that kind of note would be kind of good.
Yeah.
Okay. Still felt abrupt, but
I'm with you.
But overall I liked it. So and then the last scene we see of Eva is her actual corpse, which is fucking disgusting.
Yes.
This is 1981, right before slasher films took off. It was just all about the gore. This is Dick Smith, the fucking legend, doing it, and I think it's way more effective.
Yeah, it was really good
because it's like chunks of her flesh, like just kind of fall off. I even think you see like maybe like a patch of hair or something like that fall off.
Yep.
And it's just like this brown ooey gooey look, and it's just fucking disgusting.
Yeah, and the thought of her being down there that whole time was just disturbing.
Gross.
Yeah, exactly.
It was nasty. All right, so that's Ghost Story. Now we got to rate it.
So wait, hold on. I just want to. So, okay, well, I can actually tie this into my rating because one of the things I discovered was that when I was doing a little research on this, everyone obviously hated this movie, which is why it's 35%. It had almost no support, except for Roger Ebert.
No fucking way.
Who loved it. Thought it was fantastic. So here's a little bit from.
He always surprises.
I know he's a friggin' legend. This guy, it just never ceases to amaze me. So his review literally starts with, "Ghost stories should always begin as this one does, in shadows so deep, the flickering light of the dying fire barely illuminates the apprehensive faces of the listeners." So he gets it. He gets that this is how a ghost story should play out. This is how it should be told. And you know, he's honing in on the fact that it's atmosphere. But even more importantly, and this is one of the things I think is cool because this is what I'm going to hang my rating on, is he says this movie is told with style. It goes without saying that style is the most important single element in every ghost story, since without it, even the most ominous events disintegrate into silliness. And Ghost Story, aware that if characters talk too much, they disperse the tension, adopts a very economical storytelling approach. Dialogue comes in short, straightforward sentences. This is a good movie.
Wow.
And you know what's interesting is, I didn't notice until he read that because modern movies are so talky. Mm-hmm. I'm freaking Walking Dead. It's like not a movie, but like it's that style of let's just talk to death every plan.
Yeah, it's about the characters, not the monster.
but to keep it economical, where they're talking in like telegraph, form or Twitter.
Yeah,
I'm getting old.
Well, it just doubled. It doubled today.
Right, exactly.
So it's a little bit longer.
So it's right, but the fact that this movie's foremost priority, I think he's right, was style. And style may not be that important for torture porn.
Yeah.
But it's ultra important for ghost stories. And this movie's got it, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm rating this movie 81. I was
going to say 85. And you know how I was just bumping on the end? Just listening to that first part of Roger Ebert's thing and me saying that it ends abruptly, I was just thinking about how would I tell a ghost story?
Right.
I would end it the same way this film did it.
Right.
I wouldn't say, then Fred Astaire went back to his wife and they went to the south of France. No, I would end it right after the fucking thing.
Right.
So now the ending to me makes a lot of sense. I just hit that, so I'm fine with the ending now.
When you sit around a fire and tell
that's how if we were in front of the fire and I told you that story, I would end it right there.
Exactly.
So now it makes sense. So 81% from you.
I would say 81%. The only thing holding back for me would be. So I think the most common complaint on the reviews I saw that were negative said that the pacing was really slow. I disagree. I thought the pacing was fine.
It made sense if you section it out.
Yeah,
the film did.
Yeah, totally. But I do think the story is kind of convoluted, and I know that the novel is convoluted. Mm-hmm. So that's the movie tried, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it should have tried a little less. Tuned up a few things, whatever. But between Dick Smith, this cast is legendary, right?
Yeah.
Even the people who aren't legendary were good, mm-hmm. right? So the cast, the music, like you said, how beautiful the movie was, how unique the atmosphere was. You pointed out it gets you in the mood for Christmas somehow because it's so wintry and
it feels cold.
Yeah, but right, exactly. But cold. When I think of cold movies, when I think of the movie Frozen, the ski lift movie, mm-hmm. It just feels bleak. This movie was cold, and the corpse was always cold every time someone reached for Eva. But it was still had a heart.
Yeah.
It was still vital somehow. It still had a life to it. Even it wasn't cold bleak. It was cold. I almost want to say fun.
Yeah.
Right. But still scary. So just because of all that, I would say 81%. And the only thing that holds it back for that to me is I bumped on some of the story elements where I felt like, is this movie really trying to tell me this right now?
Yeah.
Like, are these bad? Is this bad guy getting away with it? Or, it put me so on the side of the villain that I was like, that feels. I was actually rooting for the villain against the kid, which I shouldn't have been.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But she was just more interesting than his character was. So I don't know, but that's a pretty damn good movie.
Yeah, 85%. I would chop like, I don't know, 3 or 5 minutes out of the Professor Eva love thing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Chopped a little bit of that
That
off.
was actually really strange.
It dragged a little bit, and then I didn't really have a problem with the rest of it. And now that I completely understand the ending, I feel a little bit better out. But 85%.
But it was I think you're right. You put your finger on that probably was the place there where you would cut, where it would be like, that story went on kind of long. Although, if I understand the movie right, that was actually a story he was telling the chowder people, right?
Yeah.
So, stories like that do go on. Like, if you ever are with someone who's telling a ghost story around a campfire, part of the joy of it is that it takes its time getting there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
You know what's funny? That was part of, so like normally like if I'm like late on a review or for like a movie, I'll skim through it on Amazon, like watch the buffering and then like watch a few key parts.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought about doing that for this one. I was like, oh, it's almost
I'm glad
about
you
2 hours. But I couldn't. Like, I wanted that build up, which is funny because one of my critiques was I'd cut a little bit of that build up out. So I don't know what kind of hypocritical point I'm trying to make here.
I mean, I definitely think that segment could have done with some editing. So just to put this in context, right, before we let it go, rating this at 81%, here's what I like to do this. Here's what it would put it shoulder to shoulder with, okay? So this movie would be right next to Cult of Chucky.
That's 81%.
It's 81% right now, Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, God.
Shadow of the Vampire, Hellboy, Scream 2.
That all makes sense.
And Sisters. Sisters is actually an interesting comparison, the Brian De Palma film, to this movie. So I feel pretty good that this movie is right around this ballpark. I mean, better than Cult of Chucky, but right around the ballpark of this kind of caliber of movie. Like, I don't feel like Scream 2 is quantifiably like way better than this movie. So that's the neighborhood it's in.
I think that neighborhood sounds pretty right on.
But at 35%, it was in the neighborhood of let's check this out.
Oh, Lord.
The neighborhood it currently resides in, here's the movies it's sitting again next to. It's next to The Lawnmower Man.
No.
Fuck off.
That's not nice.
It's next to Demon Knight.
The Tales from the Crypt film?
Yeah. It's next to Blair Witch.
Wait, the
recent one.
The recent one?
Yeah. It's next to the Thing remake. Come on, people.
The Thing remake wasn't that bad.
I know, but Ghost Story is better.
The
Thing remake could have been way better.
Yeah, it could have. Right. If the producers had backed the fuck off.
And Tales from the Dark Side of the movie. This is not the neighborhood this movie belongs in.
No, it belongs up there. It belongs up there. It belongs in the 80s. So fucking easy.
It's next door neighbors. It's borrowing milk from the Lawnmower Man. It's going over and knocking on the Lawnmower Man's door and being like,
I'm going to throw up. I'm going to throw up on myself because I'm so upset. I can't. I disagree. I disagree with that. Let's bump Ghost Story up to 80.
Yeah, let's get it up there. All right.
Easy.
Cool.
All right. Well, until next time, watch a bunch of scary movies and stay scary.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.